YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for BoonBoomger episode 39. Honestly, an all-around pretty good superhero time this week with both this and Gav, with both episodes being pretty big, the start of something big. This one being Spinder finally arriving on Earth, as well as his general, which arrived before, but he kind of goes and gives his props to Team Rocket. A lot of stuff involving the ISA. So you have them bringing about a monster of the week that's like main purpose is to like get rid of everybody else but Taya so that he can have his big dramatic scene with Taya where he reveals that he has bought the, I want to keep calling it the Desire Grand Prix. I can't remember what the name of the big race is called, but the big race that we've been talking about, which is just a Mario Kart tournament, we're just going to find that out. He basically bought the race and gloated about it, and it's his way of getting back at Boondario. So I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot about the race. There's been so much else going on lately. You know, last week even Spinder showed up. There's been talk of a Gokaiger cameo from the poster. You know, I think just in general, as we've headed towards this in-game stretch, you know, we already have pictures for Gojuger. I'm like, okay, we're in the last lap, and the big boss is here, and there's been all these reveals and stuff, and despite the fact that it's been brought up a lot, I just completely forgot about it for whatever reason, and I'm going to be really interested to see how that comes into play in the finale arc. Like, will it be part of the final episodes, actually having a race? I think that would be interesting. It would make it feel like one of those Pokemon anime, like, finale arcs where you have the tournament going on, but then some random legendary Pokemon plot hits the fan. I think that only happened in Generation 6, because for a long time they had to save the legendary stuff for the movies. Anyway, this isn't about Pokemon. Regardless, I think that'll be really interesting. I'm curious to see how they pull that off. I think if we actually do the race, it'll be a nice change of pace from just the regular fighting and stuff. Not that I don't like the fighting, but you know what I mean? It's just nice to have a formula change. So I thought he had a pretty strong debut. Some really good music that accompanied his debut. The score in the series has always been really great. It makes the villains feel weirdly grounded when they have this gangster feel of him riding around in a car. That's like almost funny, kind of cool that we have that feel to it, but also a little bit silly. And it makes them feel like the Lupat villains just because of the whole gangster aspect to it. I'm still curious what the ISA's angle is, as like the main ISA guy is just kind of trying to like deal with them, but I'm not sure what his aim is, honestly. Like whether he's just trying to get something for himself or for the ISA, or whether it's like one of those situations where they just kind of assume they're gonna lose to them, so they just want to like have the most peaceful negotiations possible. You're right about one thing. The negotiations were short. But they did have a big deal made about the fact that the ISA was blocking the signal when someone was arriving. We also introduced a new friend of the Inspector, whose name was her name? Shirabe? Shirabe? I'm going to call her that for this review. I always forget her name and just call her the Inspector. But we introduced a new friend of hers, which I think is because they want this angle of her trying to find an ally within the ISA. This was a big episode for her too, as like in the end when everyone else was like soap napped or whatever, when it was just Taya, she comes in with the save, risking her life to pilot a Zord. Or as she said, make a delivery. I thought that was a really good moment. And also, I'm glad that this didn't play out the way I was thinking. Honestly, ever since we revealed that the ISA was going to be shady, I assumed we would have a little mini arc, even if it was just an episode or whatever, where her loyalties were tested. Like, she's been so on board with the BoonBoomgers. I mean, even having Boondario on her lock screen, I never questioned it, but I thought that there might be some sort of, like, you know, story of her being torn between her friendship and her duty, just because that's usually the cliche thing they do. So I'm kind of glad that there's like no question about it. She's like, no, the ISA is clearly shady, these are my friends. Like, we don't need any more of that drama. I just kind of had just expected it based on past experience with other Toku shows and Toku shows period. But yeah, really good moment for her. Also though, when she gets everyone back and they're just wearing their tire helmets but their civilian clothes, honestly freaked me out. Like, I don't know, I don't know what that is about that. It just freaked me out. Like, imagine like coming home and that was just in your house staring at you. Like, I don't know, I've gotten used to the BoonBoomger suits. Like, honestly, like I said in the past, I've become a fan of them, but just seeing that was just disturbing. So it also featured some good fights as usual. It's kind of weird and funny in a way because obviously the monster of the week served a very specific purpose, but at the same time, like parts of the fight and then especially the mecha fight at the very end after we had already kind of had this climactic encounter with Spinder, felt like you had just the run-of-the-mill Sentai stuff happening in the middle of a big episode. I think in particular the mecha fight. It just felt like we had these bullet points we had to hit for the episode of like, okay, we have to have a good ground fight and a mecha fight and just shoehorn it into the episode. I don't know, it just felt a little bit weird. Not that it was an overall negative, it just felt kind of funny to me. But yeah, this was a strong episode. I thought it was a pretty good debut for his character. And we have about, I don't know, 10 episodes. I'm not sure how many this series is going to run. It could be anywhere between like 47 and 50, who knows. But you know what I mean, give or take. 10 episodes, so I'll be curious to see how the dynamic plays out with him on Earth now, his new general, the ISA in general, and also how the Grand Prix, or the Desire Grand Prix as I'm calling it in my head, is going to play out. But what did you guys think of the episode? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb this episode and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.